Welcome to the Matter Financial Report with our host, Michael Matter, and myself, your co-host, Tony Shore. I'm just along for the ride. Michael's the man with the plan here, as always. Michael, looking good. I love the yellow tie today. Nice. Did you pick that out yourself, or did Mrs. Financial Planner help out with that one today?
I can say that I picked it out myself,
No,
Tony.
you're a fashionable guy. I shouldn't give you a hard time. That looks really good, though.
Thanks.
I'm kind of I do have a collared shirt. You can't tell it's black, but I'm not dressed as well as you are. That's for sure.
Not many people are.
Yeah, that
I'm kidding.
boom. That's
Just
good. That's good. All right.
Oh, nice.
All
No, this
right.
is the first time I've actually put on a suit and tie to the office in a long time. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you can go cash too, but I know when you're meeting with clients and have a lot of meetings, you like to have a professional look. You're a
Yeah.
professional financial guy. I like it. Now, Michael, before we get into the show today, and you've got a good one, we're going to talk about habits. You're going to talk about what habits you can develop that will give you or help you have a successful retirement. What habits do we need to have now to have a successful retirement? I think that's a great topic. I'm going to ask you about those. First, my wife and I, what I've been doing the last week since our last show is watching the Olympics. My wife and I love the Winter Olympics. How about you? Have you
I
seen
have
any? Or I know you're
seen
busy.
10 minutes of the Olympics.
Oh, it's been so
Yes.
good. It's been so good this year. I mean, US has had some struggles, but it is fun to watch. Yeah.
Hockey kicked off. I'm really looking forward to at least catching some of the hockey.
Yes, hockey's
So,
great. We have some
right.
great players. US should do great.
We are recording, a week before you hear this. So
So,
hockey's
yeah.
starting today. So, they probably will have a gold medal winner by the time you're listening to this. But
And hopefully it'll be the US this year.
I would love to
Yeah.
see US versus Canada. I don't know how that
Oh,
plays out if they're in the same pool, if it can be the gold medal game. But last year they had the Frozen 4 or 5 or
yeah,
6, something like that,
yeah,
which was really cool. USA played Canada. Canada ended up taking us out, but it
yeah,
was a really good game.
yeah.
Canada's got some exciting young players, and so, the US with
We
the
have
tariff
some great
wars
players.
going on,
Yeah,
uh
there's some, I'll tell you what, that is gonna be one of the best boxing matches you'll ever see if
yeah.
US gets a chance to play
Do you
Canada.
remember that last year,
If
Tony?
you
That was
like the ultimate fighting, competitions, you'll wanna tune into the US-Canada game if there is one.
Yeah, there were some
That's for
pretty good
sure.
fights last year during that
Oh,
competition,
that was really
and
there's no
the
love
national
lost
anthem was
there.
booed, right? Because it was played in Canada. We just
Yep.
imposed those tariffs. They were not happy with us, so,
No.
yeah, a lot of
That was
fun.
huge. Yeah. Yeah, I can't wait for that, well, not for the controversy, but for the game because it is a rivalry. I mean,
Yeah,
we love Canada, but it is fun, and hockey, boy, they get pretty intense. So,
yeah.
well, that'll be one to watch. Now, Michael, we're talking today about 13 habits for a successful retirement. We probably won't get to all 13. I know that you're taking some of the stats and things you'll be throwing out there are summed up in a Kiplinger article. If people want to check it out, it's called "The Smart Way to Retire: 13 Habits to Steal from the Wealthy." We don't condone stealing from the wealthy. I don't like how they put that there, but we should develop habits and look at these habits, and they'll help us have a better retirement. So, where do you want to begin here?
Right, we're not gonna steal we didn't get to create that title, right? Kiplinger
No,
created
that's
that
a
title, you're right.
Kiplinger title. Ours is titled "Habits for
Ideas you could
Successful
probably get
Retirement."
from yeah,
Yeah.
successful retirement planning.
Yes.
Um Many wealthy retirees don't start out rich, right? So it's all based off of creating habits.
Yeah.
And we talk about this pretty frequently on the show, right? Is just creating good habits and really being intentional with your spending, even before retirement, but really, especially in retirement. Earmarking every last dollar and understanding where your money's going so that you don't run out of it too
Yeah.
fast.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's huge. And and there's a big difference between hearing a smart idea and knowing how to fit it into everyday life. And I know you're here to talk to us about that. And so what's the first habit? What do you want to talk about?
Well, you don't just acquire wealth because of luck. There's just a handful of people that win
Sh-
the lottery or scratch
Sure.
off. And surprisingly, most millionaires, I think, if you asked the average person on the street, how do you think someone became a millionaire? And most people would attribute it to family wealth and inheritance. And I think 79% of millionaires did not receive any sort of inheritance at all from their parents or family members.
Wow.
So that's coming from a Ramsey Solutions uh, conducted survey. They surveyed over 10,000 millionaires. So that's where
Wow.
that statistic is coming from. So most people created their own wealth. It's not inheritance and it's not some sort of one time windfall. It was just off of habits that they built along the way to accumulate their wealth.
Yeah, good point. So, what you're the wealthy retirees out there, most of them didn't start rich. They built it over time through what you're calling consistent habits, and you're going to talk to us about some of those. Um, and so it's not about luck. It's about repeatable behaviors, like you're talking about. What's one of those behaviors that we should look at?
Yeah, I'm going to go back to that Ramsey solution survey.
Okay,
8 out of 10 millionaires invested into their company's 401k plan. So, contributing into an employer plan helps
sure.
create wealth, right? You get the match, you got the dollar cost averaging type of investing. You're not trying to time the market. You're just going to be in that market for the 20 to 40 years, however long you're working, and you're investing over a long period of time. And that helps create that wealth for you.
So the biggest habit you're starting off with here, it sounds like it's basically saving is what you're talking about, right?
Saving and consistency and having a plan. Yeah.
Yeah.
Budgeting. Yeah.
Yeah, and ideally through automation, like a percentage of your every check goes into that 401k. And you know what my wife and I do, we every time we get a raise once a year, if I get a 4% raise, I'm putting 4% more into that 401k, or maybe 2% automatically. I'll have it put into my 401k, and the other half, the other 2% will go into my IRA. If I or another investment if I have more than just my 401k, and that way it's not money I'm going to miss because I never had it to begin with, right?
Right. The Kiplinger article mentions that the most successful retirees, they engineer their spending habits by creating their savings first, knowing exactly how much they're going to squirrel away from their paycheck, and then engineering how much they have left to spend. When
Ah,
most people engineer it the opposite,
yeah,
they figure
yeah.
out all their expenses and then they realize I have X amount left over at the end of the month, and that's what becomes my savings. So,
Yeah, or yeah, we say, okay, we're going to put our whole check and everything we got into our checking account. We'll see what we have left at the end of the month to put into our retirement account. Well, that's never, at least for my wife and I, if it goes into the checking account, that's what I
yeah.
call the general fund, and it's the same general fund that the state of California has and that
Yes.
our federal government has. If it goes into there, poof, it's
It's
gone.
gone and we're
It's
running on
gone.
a deficit now.
Right,
We're
it's gone.
catching up on credit card
Yeah,
bills if
that
we don't
general
have a
fund,
plan.
if it's in there, if it goes into the general fund, it's lost.
Yes.
It's gone. We spend it.
Yep.
So it has to, that's why you automate it and have a bigger percentage every year should be taken out of your paycheck and put into a 401k or a Roth or both or an IRA. And if you want to know which is best for you, and make sure you're getting the match and then maybe putting it somewhere else where you can get more tax benefits, work with a trusted financial services professional. And I
Yes.
know you'd love to help people with that, right, Michael?
Yeah. Like put a plan around it. So just like we said on the last key point of reverse engineering your spending habits of having a game plan of saving first, spending second. It's important to have a plan of someone that helps you put that together, of realizing how much do you need to save, what are your goals for retirement, how are you going to get there before you actually retire. Well, you need to have a plan written out just like you have your budget written out. And that's something I can help you with. We put together financial plans for our clients. A lot of it is based off of budgeting for retirement, accumulation phase, and now we're at our retirement phase. How are we going to distribute that?
Yeah.
accumulation out successfully, not run out of money, we put together a plan for you to do that. So if you're interested on what that looks like, give us a call 916-469-9016, or you can visit the website thematterfinancialgroup.com. Scroll to the bottom, it has our calendar. You don't even have to call us. Just click on a time that's available and we'll schedule an appointment through Calendly.
Yeah. There you go. So, what's another habit or something we should be looking at to have a successful retirement?
You mentioned if you just put money into the checking account, maybe there were a couple of months telling you where you and your wife didn't spend it, but now that cash is just sitting idly there.
Sure.
You shouldn't have money that's not earmarked for a single purpose, right? If it's in the checking
Right.
account, not doing anything for you, you're losing money safely to inflation. So, uh, find a better avenue than a checking account to have your money sit. So, put it to use for you.
So, don't let money sit idle. You want to make sure that it is working for you. Is that what you're saying?
Right. So there's 3 buckets that it should be in, either growth, income, or protection,
Yeah.
right? But it should have a purpose, and figure out the purpose and shift it to the correct account.
Yep. Growth, income, and
Protection.
protection. Yeah. So, or safety or a principal protected money that you know will be there when you need it in retirement. That's good. And that's good to know those three things. So, every dollar should have a purpose. You don't want to lose money to inflation. You want growth. You need those three things: growth, income, and protection. What's another habit that we need to develop then?
Live below your means. This is
Wait a minute.
not the fun one.
Wait a minute. You mean I can't spend more than I make?
You shouldn't. You could. The banks would
Yeah.
love it if you did.
Yeah. Well, the
Someone
the the government does.
Yeah. Well, we can't print our own money, and if you
That's
do and
true.
get caught, you're
Oh,
going to jail.
yeah, that's true. We can't print our own money like the government does. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're actually telling me I have to live below my means. Shoot. Oh.
But Tony, you already have a really good habit. Okay. If you are getting those incremental raises or you have a
Yes.
bonus that comes in, you already have a plan of saving extra instead of spending more.
Right.
So as your income rises, you should set aside even more. Of course, maybe now you can afford a little, maybe you can go out twice a week instead of once a week, or yeah,
Sure.
you can live a little bit more comfortably, but also earmark some of those additional streams of income for savings.
Yeah, and especially as you get closer to retirement, you might want to tighten the belt a little bit and save more money. Don't spend it. Don't let lifestyle creep happens, and it tends to happen toward our end of our working years where we're making more money and we're earning higher income and maybe getting better raises or bonuses. That stuff needs to go into your retirement fund because if you start spending that, you're going to increase your lifestyle, and then you're gonna have a rude awakening when you get into retirement because you've let lifestyle creep take over, right?
Yes, that's a trap, isn't it? All of a
Yes.
sudden, you have more responsibilities because you've been working for 30 years. Now you're in upper management, possibly.
Yep.
You've earned all of those raises and promotions.
Mhm.
You're getting closer to retirement. You kind of reached the top of the pyramid of wherever you're working. Um, but pretty soon that pyramid disappears, right?
Yes.
Uh, so that trap of thinking that that's the new lifestyle, it's going to go away pretty quickly. So what is going to replace that? So making some adjustments before retirement is really super important. And I think that's the next thing that I wanted to talk about, Tony, is just planning for expenses in retirement. If you're spending your money as you earn it, hopefully you're spending it on things like your mortgage or your car payment and reducing it and getting rid of it so that when your income disappears and maybe the only thing that you can rely on is Social Security, um, there aren't as many expenses. So living within your means while you're earning, but then in retirement, reducing as many expenses before you actually enter retirement is a something that the article habits of the wealthy, things that you could steal from them, reducing
Yeah.
as many, payments as you can in
Sure.
retirement.
Sure. Yeah, and that leads us into what's probably one of the next, habits is ditch the debt, pay down your debt, right? That's a
Yes.
habit. Try to enter retirement with no debt if you can, right?
Right. So, I'm in an area where a lot of retirees still have pensions,
Yeah,
um, and then they have Social Security. So they have a pretty good continuation of income in their retirement. But that's really phasing out. Like we talked about that on our last episode, Gen X. Um,
yeah,
Not as many of them will have pensions. And so relying on their savings in retirement is going to be important. So if the only guaranteed paycheck coming in is Social Security, you want to make sure your expenses don't exceed the guaranteed income coming in. So paying
right.
off as many things as possible before then.
That's huge. Yeah, especially those high interest credit cards, right? I mean, that's
Yeah, we kind of want to look at what has the highest interest rate, take care of that first, and then go to the next highest interest rate.
yeah, that's a good method, the avalanche method,
Hmm.
right? Yeah, that's really good. So, what's next? What's something else that we should know, to a habit to have a successful retirement?
Yeah, we talk about this a lot on the show. It's the go-go years. Your
Ah,
first couple years in retirement, you're still relatively young and healthy and want to go and conquer the world and you have all this free time. Well, we haven't really talked about this part in our show, Tony, is that overspending in those first couple years, those
ah,
go-go years,
yes.
that
Yeah,
can be a detractor for the rest of your retirement.
right. A lot of people when they first retire, they wanna go, go, go. They wanna take the grandkids to Walt Disney World and all their kids and have a huge trip and pay for it, or they wanna go out and buy a state-of-the-art RV and travel around or do that world cruise around the world or travel around the world. And all none of those things are wrong, but if you didn't budget for them, you can't do them all in 1 year, probably, you shouldn't, and did you work with a financial advisor to work those into your financial plan, or are you gonna just take all that money out of your retirement accounts and then deplete them and run out of money later, right?
Exactly. Tony, that was going to be my next point is this article that we were referencing, I think is mostly for people that aren't already working with an advisor.
Yes,
All of
probably,
these
yeah.
key points are for people that are trying to figure it out on their own,
Right,
and
yes.
they're not going to succeed no matter what. They're probably looking at this article after they've retired and realize, yeah, this is why my retirement isn't going like I thought it was
Right,
going to.
right. "Oh, yeah, here's what I should have done 10 years ago."
Yeah.
Yeah,
And so we look at, the go-go years. Yeah, I most of my clients have already figured out these 13 steps and they're working
sure.
with a professional and we're building out a roadmap for them so that they can enjoy their go-go years. But
Right.
for people that don't have a plan, they're not working with a professional and they realize I have this, piggy bank over here, which is probably a retirement account that's shared with Uncle Sam. It's not that full value. It's going to deplete faster than they think. Tony, this isn't one of the 13 key things that we can learn from the wealthy in retirement, but one of the things I would advise against, and a lot of people on their first appointments, well, I'm thinking about retiring, and one of the things I know I need to do is buy a new car. Uh, I,
What?
I tell you, this happens on more appointments than you would think, but they think it's one of the things they're supposed to do in retirement is
That's weird.
use their 401k and buy a brand new car.
Mm.
And I don't know where that idea came from, but that's one of the worst assets, as we know as investors or
Oh,
investment
yeah.
advisors, that loses its value as soon as you drive it off the lot. So,
Yeah, I think
yeah,
the thinking there is and I knew folks that have done I knew people that had did this, and the thinking is, "Okay, I'm retired. If I buy a new car right before or right when I retire or right after I retire, right away at the beginning of my retirement, then that'll be my last vehicle. I'll just buy 1 new car so it'll last me throughout my retirement." And that number 1, if you live 20 to 30 years in
all right.
retirement, odds are that won't be your last car. And if you didn't need it at that time, don't spend the money on it, because you're
No.
right. The minute it's a horrible investment, because the minute you drive it off the lot, it depreciates so much in value, if you, especially a brand new car, right?
Yeah. And
Um,
I think that's
yeah.
one of those assets that no matter if it's retirement funds that they didn't realize they could probably even access before you retire, right? There's 59 and a half is typically when you can gain control of your retirement accounts and, manage it yourself, or start to take distributions from it without penalties. Or inheritance, right? When people inherit money, it's one of the first things they think, oh, I would love to get a new car. And I don't know if it's just a psychological thing that people,
It must be.
when money becomes available, that's an asset that they
A
just have
new
always wanted.
car.
Yes.
I need a new car. Yeah. Yeah, that's that's funny. And it is. It's just human nature. I think if we, if somebody gets a chunk of money, whether they inherit it or they can finally access their retirement accounts, it's like, nah, I need a new car, a new vehicle is what I want to do with that money. It's
Yeah.
just like, might be better to create some memories while you still have your health, and, take those kids to Disney World, but work it into a budget. And I think that's one of the main points here. And one of the 13 habits for a successful retirement is work with a financial advisor to identify blind spots, refine strategy, and come up with a plan. Create and visit a retirement roadmap. And that's what you do for people, isn't it, Michael?
It is, Tony. Thank you for highlighting that. I like to work with my clients through education. It's not a sales process. So sometimes I forget to mention the fact that, yes, we put those plans together for our clients. We don't, it's no cost, no obligation. We put it together for you. We really believe that once you go through the process and you see the recommendations and where that roadmap's going to lead you, you're going to want to become a client if you aren't already, and you're going to want to implement some of those plans. So if you've never put a financial plan together, or if you're working with an advisor that just gives you one off advice, they don't really have a roadmap for you. If you're like, hey, what does this look like in 5 years? And they can't tell you, they just say, well, I'd expect a 5% return annually over. So let me do a calculation. We have it on paper. We use documentation. We run reports. So it's not just an idea, it's based off of facts. So give us a call, 916-469-9016, or go to thematterfinancialgroup.com and schedule an appointment, and we'll start the process for you.
Awesome. Well, great show today, Michael. I thought you covered a lot. I think we covered pretty much all 13 of the things, habits. We talked about a lot of different things you can do. And I'm sure our listeners and viewers out there have questions. So one more time before we go, what is that phone number and web address?
916-469-9016. Again, 916-469-9016, or go to thematterfinancialgroup.com.
All right. Well, that sounds great, Michael. And listeners, that does it for today's episode of the Matter Financial Report with our host, Michael Matter.